Hey everybody, welcome to your 9th intermediate Roblox Low scripting tutorial, and as promised, today I'm going to show you guys how to tame the wild beast of ordered data stores. Or, that is, ordered data stores. Yeah, whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, fun fact, I first attempted to record this video yesterday afternoon, when I was halfway through it, and I had to stop for reasons that I'm not going to mention. So, stuff happened. Anyway, I'm recording this now, 10 p.m., Friday night. Let's go. So you notice that I'm not in the usual empty studio file that I'm at, or that one place that I think I called empty slot. That I'm at a place called mobile test, and this is where I test Mountaineers stuff. You guys, if you guys watched my last video a few days ago on just telling you guys what I was doing, you will know that Mountaineer is a game that I released recently. It's pretty cool, you guys can check it out. And the reason I am in here today in Mountaineer's studio file is that I'm not actually going to write out an order data store script today. Instead, I am going to show you guys how I made Mountaineer's order data stores. The reason being, if I wrote one from scratch on video for you guys and tried to test it, well, that wouldn't work because there's only one of me, and order data stores are for global leaderboards. So that just wouldn't work. One leaderboard, one guy, no. So, okay. I forgot why I googled Evanescence. Evanescence is cool. I'm gonna mute that. So I have this button. I have 2 order data stores in my game. One for the amount of stars that a player has. I'm number 2 on that leaderboard. And for high scores. This handsome fellow right here is number 1 on the leaderboard. The highest score is actually like, I think 739 on the main game on the Nightmare Studios group. This is the testing place again, so that's what it looks like. Kitty, no, Kitty, go away. Don't bother me, please. I'm recording a video. Alright, so, oh, also, I noticed that I recently hit 900 subscribers. I'm gonna be super hyped when we hit 1,000. So that's like 93 subscribers away, I think. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. So I have 2 frames for each leaderboard. First, I'm going to open up the local script for the client-side version. Or not version, the client code for the data store. That's just the display. This here, the server script that I call order data store, is what handles the server side version of things. I don't know, I just said version again. That's the wrong word. I hate using improper words. Alright, so let's start at the top. So when you're writing an order data store, you still use data store service, just like in a normal data store, except instead of using the get data store method, you use get order data store method. So you just pass the string that's the name of your order data store, the scope. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the high score order data store part of this script. This is pretty much divided into, this big block is pretty much divided into 2 sections. One is for the high score data store, and the second is for the stars data store. And then I I use remote event to firewall clients with the data to tell the client to display it. So all this is probably looks pretty complicated right now, but we are gonna walk through it together. So first, I have this while true do loop at the bottom. I have a wait 60 seconds. That means it's going to update every 60 seconds. It's going to tell the client to update every 60 seconds. So I have local success, comma message equals pcall, pass a function as an argument. If not success, then print message. A better name for this would be error, print error. What a pcall. Okay, no, since error highlights as a built-in function. Error, okay. So what a pcall does basically is, how do I explain this? You pass a function as an argument. It's just whatever code you want to run that has a chance of erroring, but if it's wrapped in a pcall, anything wrapped in a pcall, which stands for protected call, it will error and it'll give you an error message, but it won't cause your script to break. It won't stop the rest of your script from running. So the reason, or it returns two things, success and error. Basically, success is true or false, I think, and if success is false, then it's going to give you this error message, and you can print it to see what happened. So it's mainly good for data store stuff, HTTP stuff, where there's a chance of something on the technical side of things going wrong, not necessarily your code. So that's pretty much what I use them for. They can be sort of expensive to use. I'm not talking money, I'm talking about performance. So like, don't use them often in a, for example, don't use them in a while true do loop that's updating every, or don't use it in a render step loop or something where it's updating every frame. I don't know, just don't use it too often. Use it for things like HTTP stuff and stuff that, shoot. Okay, I was awkward there for a second. Use it for HTTP stuff, stuff like asynchronous stuff, because that usually involves web stuff. Okay, I might just do a separate video on pcall one day, since I'm clearly not explaining it that well here. Anyway, I have all this wrapped in a pcall, all of my order data store stuff. So first things first, I have these two variables: converted high score data, converted star data. Basically, I'm gonna use those two empty tables to send all the data to the client that we want to display on their screen. I'll explain more on what's going to go in here in a bit. So I have these two variables: high score pages and stars pages. So we're going to use a method of the high score order data store. We're going to use get sorted async. Pass the parameters false and 95. Basically what this is doing is it's giving me the first 95 people in the data store, and this bool, false or true. If it's false, then it goes in normal order, I think. If it's true, then it'll go in ascending order or something like that. But basically, if it's true, then for example, the number one person would display at the bottom, whereas if it's false, they're going to display at the top. So, you know, you can play around with that if you want. For example, if that was true, the person at the top of my high score leaderboard would be at the bottom, and you'd have to scroll down to see the number one person. Pretty sure that's how it works. So that's what get sorted async does. It returns a pages object. I'm gonna press F1 to open up the wiki real quick. Pages. Oh god, I'm gonna sneeze. Or not. Okay. So, it's sort of basic. I'm just gonna go to this page instead. Ascending page size, min value, max value. I've never used these two parameters before. It returns a data store pages object. Okay. Yeah, I explained that. So this is the page we're just on, a special version of the pages class meant for usage with order data stores. So it has some properties, blah blah blah. What we're going to use is get current page. Returns the items on the current page. The keys in the item are determined by the source of this object. So, I'm going to go back up here. So this is getting a pages object with the first 95 people, and we're only going through one page of people. So local high score data equals high score pages get current page. Yeah, returns the item on the current page. I'm pretty sure I just read that off. I don't know. So for IV in pairs high score data do, we're iterating through this page that we just got. For IV in pairs high score data do, we're gonna just predefine local player name, because we're gonna have to, well, because scope pretty much. I can't put local player name equals blah 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 here. We want it to be local to this scope and not this function scope, because we need to access it down here out of this function scope, because if you notice it ends on this line. Well, the line is relevant, but the end is right here for this function. So the reason I have game.players get name from user ID async inside of a pcall is because it's one of those things I mentioned earlier that might have a possibility of erroring. I think, for example, if the user is terminated that you're looking for, it's going to return some sort of weird error. So I have that in a pcall. What this does, get name from user ID async. I guess it's pretty self-explanatory. We're passing in a user ID to get the player's name that belongs to that user ID. So basically what's inside of high score data is, just imagine it as a big table where it's not a dictionary, it has integer keys, and then the values to those integers are tables. And what's inside those tables is key and value. The key is just like in a normal data store, it's whatever you want to set it to. Set it to a user ID, that's best practice. I've explained this before, but the key should be, I suppose, their user ID, and then the value is going to be whatever you're saving in that order data store, which I'm pretty sure can only be an integer. But yeah, so right now, player name, local player name, local whatever variable, that's defining it as nil. It's just cutting off the equals nil. So we're sort of predefining this variable to use outside of the scope, but we're setting a value to the variable here, their username that we get from their user ID. So if player name, then we're going to do some more stuff. So basically, if this was successful and player name is not nil, if player name is the same as saying if player name is not nil, then we're going to run this code. So we're defining a table here, local new tab, short for new table, string keys, the first index key is equal to an empty string, value is 0, ID equals 0. So new table.key equals player.name. That's, again, all this is for display in the local script. So the key is going to be the player's name. The value is, we're going to grab v.value and v.key from the HiScoreData thing, HiScoreData object. HiScoreData pages object. Okay, you guys know what I'm talking about. This is the value, whatever we're saving. In this case, it's an integer that represents their high score in the game, and v.key is their user ID. And I didn't have this at first, but the reason I had it in there was so that I could display a picture of them in the local script, which I'll get to later in just a minute actually. So so we define this table and then we set the values, blah blah blah. Now we're finally using that converted HiScoreData table. Converted data HiScore table. I just minced my words. Converted HiScoreData. Oops. Okay, that bothered me. Basically what this is doing is setting the value to the key of the length of converted HiScores data plus 1 to new table, that table we just made. That's basically the same thing as doing table.insert converted HiScoreData converted HiScoreData plus 1, and then the value, the new table. Same thing as doing this, I just like this because it's prettier, shorter, I just like it better. So then I'm just gonna cut this out real quick. We're gonna go down here and we're using a remote event to fire all clients. We're gonna tell all the clients in the game to update the high score leaderboard with, and then the data we're gonna send is this table of converted high score data. Forgot why I had that comment there. I had it there because I usually pass things as tables, but converted high score data is already a table, so I don't need to wrap that table in a table. So, and then we're going to fire all clients to stars leaderboard data. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can get a better look at the code. I probably should have done that earlier because I get complaints that you guys can't see my code. I'm very sorry for that. I don't like zooming in because this just looks really weird to me, but for your guys' sake, you can get a good look at this. I'm going to zoom on out and go to the local script. Okay, so I have, I'm defining replicated storage up here. This is the remote event. Leaderboard frame is a frame in replicated storage that we're going to be cloning. It's basically the template, so to speak, of the display that we're going to fill out. It has a text label for the player name, one for their amount of points, one for their rank on the leaderboard, 1 through 95, and then their image, which is why I passed that ID thing for their user ID in the local script, or to the local script. So I have this function here to convert. It's called convert comma. It pretty much converts a you pass it a number, it defines that local x equals toString number. ToString converts something to a string, so now we have that number as a string, and pretty much it just turns, for example, 1,000 into 1,000, or 10,000 to 10,000. No one's actually gotten a score over 1,000 yet, so this isn't really in use, so it doesn't change anything as of now. Anyway, remote event.onClient event. If you guys don't know how remote event works, this is how I set up mine. Just so I don't have to have a bunch of remote events for different things. I can just use one and then pass in request arguments. You can name that whatever you want. It's just to do a task based on what I'm asking it to do. I don't want, like, I'll have one on client event in another script. I'll check the request if it's something else and it'll do something else. It's just to cut down on remote events. I like it better that way. You guys can do that however you want. So request, I passed in high score leaderboard as a request, and this converted high score data as the data. So we're just clearing the leaderboard here of all the existing frames. We're going to refresh it, so to speak. Now we're going to loop through the data table. I think I had these two lines in here to make some text labels. Text scaled equals true because of a glitch that was happening that was causing their font size to drastically lower whenever the leaderboard was refreshed. I don't know. So for every iteration of the data table, we're going to get a new frame for every one in it. Clone. We're going to set the position. We're going to start at scale of 0.01 on the Y scale, and for every iteration so far, we're gonna add some on the Y position. So like if this was on if we were on the 50th iteration, this would be 0.01 times I. 50 times 0.01 would be 0.5 scale. So yeah. The more I talk, my throat hurts. So new frame.playerName.text, we're setting the player name text labels text to v.key. We define v.key as the player's name, new tab.value is their score, and new table.id by their key, so the user ID. New frame.points.text, we use a convert comma function on their score. Rank.text, hashtag for number whatever the rank is. This is the player image part. This is how you get a headshot of the player, basically. F1 to the wiki. Web APIs. Yeah, this page has a lot of useful stuff on it. You can do a ton with this. It's very useful. Click user thumbnail, blah blah blah. I just copied this. You fill in the user ID field, and then you can change the width and height to whatever you want. I just concatenate the user ID with v.id since I couldn't get that on the client. Choo choo. Train passed by. I set the width to 150 by 150. Where was that at? Okay, so it doesn't have this on the code here, but if you add in ampersand format equals PNG, PNG just gives your image better quality, so I added that for quality. So that's an image of the player. I filled in the image label with that. Then I just set the parent to script.parent, which is the frame, scrolling frame, and that's that. This video is, okay, 24 minutes long. That's long enough, guys. So I hope that shed some light on how to do an order data store. I'm gonna scroll in a bit here so you guys can get a good look at the code, all that nice juicy code. You guys don't even need this convert comma function, but you know, take it if you want. I grabbed it from somewhere. It's just one of those modular open source things that's there for the taking. Okay. What am I gonna do my next video on? I don't know. I might do it on raycasting, maybe, since that's been requested by several people. Alright, I don't know, guys. We'll see. If you guys have suggestions for what you want me to make a video on next, just post it below in the comments. Thank you guys all for watching. I think that's it. Good night.